I mean, first we can start with the video where she's telling voters that people that voted for her, the people that voted for her, even though she lost and failed, that they have a power and they still have a voice and a power to do what? A voice to speak against and about whom and what? Like, what are we fighting for?
I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you. You have the same power that you did before November 5th, and you have the same purpose that you did, and you have the same ability to engage and inspire. So don't ever let anybody or any circumstance take your power from you.
Kamala Harris is back, folks, and let's just say her latest post election speech isn't exactly a masterclass in leadership. Instead of rallying her supporters with anything resembling substance, she served up what we can only describe as a bizarre mix of vague empowerment talk and empty platitudes. Anna Kasparian is calling her out in this specific clip, and it is brutal but fair. Stick around because this roasting is something you don't want to miss. Let's get into it.
I feel like I've literally said the same thing with the same tone and body language after getting drunk with my girlfriends at a bar.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
look, it comes from a good place. So I feel bad mocking her, but it does come across as you put it, wine auntie. Now Tyler Austin Harper writes, who thought this was a good idea? Who is this for? What is this for? What is she even saying? Once again, I will reiterate that we are ruled by imbeciles. Well, we're not ruled by her at this point. So, I mean, she is still vice president, but still. Jacqueline Sweet writes, this is very deep conversation you have with a stranger in the women's bathroom at a club before adding each other on Instagram and never speaking again. That has happened to me as well.
Absolutely nailed it. This is exactly the energy Kamala is giving off. A tipsy pep talk in a bathroom stall. You know the vibe. Someone you'll never see again telling you to never give up while you're just trying to fix your eyeliner. The problem is she's not supposed to be the tipsy stranger. She's supposed to be the vice president of the United States. This kind of vibe doesn't inspire confidence. It inspires memes. Kamala's speeches are like a drunk karaoke performance, entertaining for the wrong reasons and impossible to take seriously.
That has happened to me as well. That's exactly what I was thinking as I was listening to her in that video. Now, Harris hosted two video calls with supporters post election. One was with the grassroots supporters. The other was with her wealthy donors, who are pretty furious over the fact that she lost the election and also furious that she squandered $1 billion that they had donated to her. So she also told her supporters the outcome of this election obviously is not what we wanted. It is not what we worked so hard for, but I am proud of the race we ran. And your role in this was critical. What we did in 107 days was unprecedented. Because of your efforts, get this, we raised an historic $1.4 billion, almost $1.5 billion from grassroots supporters alone. I question that, to be honest. And she says that it's the most in presidential campaign history. Now, her campaign specifically raised $1 billion, and then super PAC supporting her raised another billion. And I have a hard time believing that like 75% of that money was from grassroots donations. But with that in mind, and before we get to some of her donors losing their minds over this, I'm curious what you think, Was.
I mean, first we can start with the video where she's telling voters that people that voted for her, the people that voted for her, even though she lost and failed, that they have a power and they still have a voice. And
Hold on, they still have power? Kamala, what power? You're talking to people who just watched their candidate fumble away billions of dollars and blow an election. This isn't some superhero origin story. Voters don't want to hear they've got power when their chosen leader just face planted in a spectacular fashion. It's like losing a game 50-0 and the coach says we've still got heart. No, you lost. What people need is accountability, not motivational fluff. Kamala should have started with we've messed up and here's what we're going to do about it. But no, it's all vague nonsense.
a power to do what? A voice to speak against and about whom and what? Like, what are we fighting for? What is our power supposed to be aimed at? Like, what is our purpose, Kamala Harris? What is your purpose, Kamala Harris? Like, it's just it's a Saturday Night Live sketch, excuse me.
Mhm.
Like literally, it's a caricature of this woman who everybody said we don't know who she is, we don't know what she stands for, and her first public appearance after, basically saying, "All right, we lost and Trump won, blah 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 blah." Her concession speech is this gobbledygook nonsense.
Mhm.
And it's ridiculous. And it's not hard to see why she got her ass kicked. Okay, cool. Then of course they're on this call with their mega donors, their owners basically, their freaking pimps, basically. And it's funny, man. It's funny, all the kowtowing, all the buck passing, all the David Plouffe getting up there and saying, we didn't cheat well enough. We weren't
I
Republican enough.
know.
That's why we lost. We weren't Republican enough. It's hilarious. And there's one conversation I'm not that's gonna stick with me after the election. And it's a buddy of mine who used to be a Democratic Party sort of apparatchik. And he was like, yo, what's the point of getting all this money and sucking up to this money if we're gonna lose anyway? We
Yeah.
don't need them. So then we don't need to suck up to them. And so we can make them enemies. Period. Like if raising all this money doesn't help us win presidential elections, what's the point of these big donors? Why do we need them? Clearly, they're not giving us great winning ideas that resonate with the people.
Right. No, you're totally right about that. I mean, he's totally right about that. And if he's Democratic apparatchik and he's come to that
Former,
realization, oh, former,
he's got a new job.
well, that sucks because
Yeah.
we need more people within the Democratic Party, the people behind the scenes, to realize this. Because you're right in noting that members of Kamala's campaign, went on Pod Save America. We talked about it on the show yesterday, and it shocked me that their takeaway was, yeah, it's against campaign finance laws for a campaign to coordinate with the super PACs. We think that's what Trump's been doing. And I think what we got wrong is that we weren't breaking the law. We should have broken the law. Like the takeaway was we're not corrupt
Corrupting
enough
up.
and we're not, you know, playing around with potentially breaking the law enough. So maybe we should do that next time. No, no, don't do that because this is the issue. What the donors want in return for their campaign contributions conflicts with what the Democratic base wants, what the voters want.
And there it is, the heart of the issue. The Democratic Party has been dancing to the tune of their donors for decades, and Kamala's campaign was no different. Here's the thing, when you cater to the elite and ignore the voters who actually put you in office, this is what happens. Regular Americans don't care about your cocktail parties and donor dinners, they care about putting food on the table and keeping their lights on. But instead of addressing those concerns, Kamala and her team prioritize keeping their mega donors happy. It's like trying to run a restaurant by only impressing the food critics while ignoring your actual customers. Eventually, the place goes out of business, and that's exactly what happened here.
And for a long time, I think that the Democratic Party was kind of able to pay lip service to the economic issues without actually carrying them out, while leaning in heavily on some of these social issues. And when you do that election cycle after election cycle after election cycle, you really have no choice but to get more and more maximalist on the social issues. And I think that's been happening in recent years. And it got to a point where voters are like, look, we want to respect everybody and we believe in equality and all of that. But like, this is getting a little crazy. Okay. My life is not great. Okay. Inflation is crushing me. My wages haven't gone up. Healthcare is still a mess. And we're having a conversation about gender reassignment surgeries for illegal immigrant detainees. Like the reason why that ad that Trump invested so much money in worked so perfectly wasn't because like this country is just dripping with transphobes. It worked because it highlighted what the priorities of the Democratic Party has been.
Exactly. Trump's ad worked because it exposed the ridiculous priorities of the Democratic Party. While Kamala Harris and her team were focused on niche social issues, Americans were drowning in real economic problems. Inflation, stagnant wages, skyrocketing healthcare costs, these are the issues voters cared about. But instead of addressing those, the Democrats put all of their chips on gender reassignment surgeries for illegal immigrants. Seriously? Who thought that was the winning strategy? And Trump didn't have to do much. He just pointed out the absurdity, and voters took care of the rest.
And at a time when people are feeling extreme economic frustration for good reason, that kind of ad, oh my God, it's going to be super effective. And I think that's why, that ad keeps getting cited as one of the factors that led to Harris's loss.
So there you have it. Kamala Harris and her campaign, a billion-dollar failure wrapped in bad speeches and even worse priorities. Anna Kasparian hit the nail on the head. We are ruled by imbeciles. What do you guys think? Is Kamala Harris's downfall just the beginning for the Democrats, or can they turn things around? Let me know in the comments below. And be sure to give us a like and subscribe, really helps out the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one.